Hello, everybody. This is Paul Dolsky from the Everything Horror Podcast, joined by the lovely fiance,
Tessa Baker.
And we are also joined by the co-assistant host,
She'll see Pure Gamer.
And we are joined today by the lovely people of DecayMag. We got Ken and we got Stacy.
Hi, good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Ken Artuz here from DecayMag.
Yeah. Hello, Stacy Cox from DecayMag.
And finally, we got the legendary man behind Unlisted Owner, where you better run, or you better cry, or you better fall down and die. Jed Brian.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys.
No,
of course.
Thank you.
It's always a good time talking horror. It's always a good time talking horror with everybody, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
And speaking of horror, let's talk about the first topic that we have tonight, which I think Stacy might need to start this one off, from what I heard.
Really?
Wow, Stacy, you're on the hot seat. 1, 2, 3.
Wow. Well,
Stacy, so
yeah.
What do you think of the Child Play remake? There we go.
Well, I actually have conflicting thoughts because Child Play is one of my favorite franchises of all time. I've literally watched the film so much that I can recite them in my sleep. So, and Chucky is one of my favorite horror icons. Now, as far as remakes are concerned, my sentiments is like a lot of people. I hate the thought of a remake, especially when I read that they're going to rush it. It just it takes my excitement down a lot.
Yeah, I know we talked about it on your show, and then I'm pretty sure everybody here can agree that some remakes just need to or if not all remakes, just need to stop. Speaking of which, Jed, what are your thoughts on the Child Play remake?
Well, I'm not a big proponent, I'm a filmmaker myself. I love original content. I love new, exciting things. And, does anyone know, is Brad Dourif even going to be in this one? Or, it's almost like, if he's not, it's going to be just like the Nightmare on Elm Street, remake where, you didn't even have Robert Englund in it. And it's just, I think if you're going to do something like that, if the actor's still around and still able to act, you should at least have them in it. And I don't know, my wife, her favorite was Chucky, and she is not very thrilled about it. I'll wait until the trailer comes out and just kind of look at it and see what it looks like. But as far as remakes go, I'm not a big fan of them. I like original horror content, especially considering I'm an original horror content creator myself. So that's kind of my 2 cents on it.
Child Play, I think they should really just leave it alone. I love the original Chucky, and how they brought Chucky from a toy box, not knowing anything about this particular doll, and how possessed he really was until later, further on in the Child Play movie. So, pretty much that whole genre of the making of Chucky and things like that should just be left alone and not remade to a further completely different storyline of how Chucky was actually possessed.
I already know what Ken's going to say, so I might as well just get Ken out of the way. So, Ken, what are your thoughts on Child Play remake, if not anything Chucky?
Well, for those who may not know, Don Mancini, he posted a tweet, and I know Twitter is as reliable as Wikipedia, but just to put it out there, Don Mancini created Chucky, and he is pulling through with a TV series. So on his tweet, he just posted a GIF as a staticky little GIF with the Chucky face. It's Child's Play, the TV series. Do not adjust your set. This was posted June 22nd, 2018. Now, for the Child's Play franchise, also Universal owns the rights for Chucky. So MGM is pushing through with another reboot. I don't know how they got around that. In any event, we have a director, Lars Klevberg. He directed Polaroid, which is another horror film that we haven't seen or heard any word from. And it's interesting because we have the script written by Tyler Burton Smith, and he wrote Kung Fury. Now, whoever didn't see that, I suggest you do. It's a funny little short. It's on YouTube. Reboots, to me, it is uncreative. Hollywood is remaining so stagnant. So a film to TV adaptation is a wrong move. Hannibal, 12 Monkeys, The Exorcist, Psycho, they all failed. This one is going to fail as well. Guarantee it. It's not going to pass season 2. Reboot. You can't bring back the 80s. You can't bring back the 70s. We're in a different era. It's not going to have that same impact. So for me, I'm going to give this a pass. Even by reading the description of this film that I have in front of me, it's just idiotic. So yeah, I'm not going to be tuning into this.
Yeah, I did see earlier too, like what you were saying too about that GIF of Static about a message to MGM. There was another one too, if you saw, I think it was on like Twitter or Instagram, where they posted Chucky with a sign that says, "Don't remake me or else." ... So it's almost reminded me of Robert Englund with the sign that says, what was it, 2010, whatever, remake sucks. Like, it just kind of reminded me of that, which I thought was interesting. So, last but not least, for about the remake anyway, is the lovely Tessa. Tessa, what are your thoughts on this godforsaken remake of Abomination waiting to happen?
You pretty much just took the words right out of my mouth.
See?
Everybody here should know how I feel about remakes anyways. I think I made that perfectly clear on the episode that we did with DecayMag. But just as a refresher for those of you who did not hear that episode, I'm not the biggest fan of remakes. I prefer the classics, and I like the classics to be left alone. I personally detest remakes unless they're done really, really, really well and they surpass the originals. In which case, in a few exceptions, okay, that's all well and good. But, oh God, please, just do it right. But anyways, that's pretty much my take on remakes, especially for Child's Play being one of the original horror icons that I grew up with, Chucky. And I was pretty disappointed with the last couple that were done. So, yeah.
So, I guess one of the reasons why they want to even remake Child's Play is because of the way it had gone throughout the years, becoming funny and just plain out dumb. So, I guess that's why they're trying to bring back the quote-unquote horror, I guess. And as much as I want to agree with that, it has gone a cheesy, stupid comedy thing. But I guess, in a way, you know what? Just for the hell of it, I'll throw it out there. Look at Call of Chucky. Has everybody in this conference right now seen that movie yet?
I have not seen it. Stacy, I heard you saw it 200 times. Is that correct?
Oh, geez, Carter, I don't know what to say about that. I mean, I haven't seen it 200 times. I've actually seen it once, and I just shook my head in disappointment because, like, when they brought out Curse of Chucky, I was like, yes, finally, Chucky's back. And then Call of Chucky, like, what the heck is this? I don't know what that was.
Well, what is everybody's thoughts real quick about the fact that there were two Chuckies? One, of course, was with Andy, and then we got the other one that was, going after what's her face that I can't even remember her name right now. But
your girlfriend.
Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, so what do you guys think of the idea now that there's gonna be a quote unquote army of Chucky? So
Oh, no.
Are we all in agreement on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
Undeniably so.
Chucky
I
back.
think they should have just left it at like the 99's Chucky movies where it was about horror and just not any of the Bride of Chucky or any of those.
Seed of Chucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the ones before Bride. I mean, I like certain elements of Bride, like some of the kill scenes in Bride. I really dug, especially the waterbed with the champagne bottle and the glass mirror. I mean, that was a good one.
Yeah, that's probably like some of the only good things about those other Chuckies. That just some of the kills were just pretty good.
Yeah.
Otherwise, way too much comedy. Then you got Gwendola or whatever. Gwenda, yeah.
And Glenn.
And then they try to make a child, Chucky.
I don't know how they have no sexual organ. How's that?
Yeah, they're like
It's science. It's
Runner.
science.
That was
voodoo magic.
That was an abomination to Chucky, is what that was. Okay, first of all, when Bride of Chucky and City Tech came out, it was an abomination. It completely, I don't know, it just made Chucky a joke. It made him a whole joke. And then that Glenda, what? No. I was so pissed at those movies. And City Chucky, I was pissed. So then when they came out with Curse of Chucky, I was like, yes, finally, we're getting back to how Chucky's supposed to be, and he's much more sinister, and he's more angry, and then they screwed it all up again with Call of Chucky.
Yes.
Have they no morals at all?
They just see dollar signs, I think.
Definitely.
I really do think that Hollywood anymore is kind of scared to try to put money into different original content. I mean, especially like with Disney, they tried John Carter. That was kind of like an original thing for them, and it fell completely on its face. And I think they just, these studios, they just feel safe by reusing titles that already have some clout to them. So I think that's kind of like their safe zone. I mean, you look at Blumhouse. I mean, the Jordan Peele film. I mean, there's all kinds of original content Blumhouse does. I mean, yeah, they are doing kind of a reboot for Halloween, but I mean, John Carpenter's on board and Jamie Lee Curtis. I mean, it seems like it's going to be a very interesting little thing. But I mean, I just feel like Hollywood is really kind of scared to go for original content anymore, and it's sad, especially in horror.
Absolutely agreed with with that sector on Hollywood not being creative. And in my opinion, there's so many independent filmmakers such as yourself, Jeb, that are pushing the envelope and providing good horror, but it's not getting the light of day because frankly, with all these reboots that is coming out, it's just everything's remaining stagnant. So it's up to the independent filmmaker to just keep creating this good stuff, and eventually fans of
get
the
to that level
flock over to the independent sector.
No,
that's what we're hoping for.
Well, and I know Amazon just changed their thing there with indie filmmakers too, kind of should I say screwing them a little bit when it comes to royalty, just a little bit. from what I was understanding. At least I know it was happening with UK anyway, but I don't know if it hit the US yet. But Jed, I mean, your film's on Amazon. Have you seen or heard anything about that, or for the royalties of your indie film?
I've heard, like I said, I don't have 100%, information because, I go through a distributor who is the one that got me on Amazon and all the other platforms, Unlisted Owners on. But I have heard that, especially for Prime rates, that they have dropped those as far as how much they pay per hour. I'm not 100% because, like I said, this is just secondhand information, but I've heard it's like 15 cents every hour they watch your film on Prime. So it'd take a lot of hours to be able to add up, 15 cents to make it to where, you make enough, money. And there's a lot of content on Amazon. So it is very, very cutthroat competition on there, especially for the indie filmmakers. And I mean, I think the same way goes for like Netflix and other streaming sites as far as, as long as you don't have to rent it, if it's on there, just stream and they pay you per hour. I think everybody's kind of cut their rates because of the amount of content that's out there, which is really, really, it's really hard on the indie film industry for sure.
And yeah, I believe that's what the guy from the UK told us as well. It's like 15 or 10 cents for them or something. Like, it's weird. I guess it's going by region or something. Is what I understood. I don't know how much of that is true, but it may be going by region, I guess. I don't know. But
which I don't know if maybe Amazon, the reason they're doing this to maybe, I don't know, thin out the market a little bit and make it to where people will take it off Prime and make it to where people actually have to make the purchase so they can make more money off of it and not have to pay as much royalties. I don't know if that's part of the reason why or what the whole reasoning behind it is.
Yeah, it's hard to really say, especially in your case. You don't know the information 100%. So
right, yeah. It's all, like I said, it's all kind of secondhand to me.
Yeah, and I just hope, like, I know your distributor is trying to do probably everything they can to help you out too. I'm just hoping though that they come to realize that maybe it might be time to have people rent it versus Amazon Prime, like you were saying. Like, I remember when we were getting ready to interview you, Jed. We actually had to rent it, even though it was on Amazon Prime. But when we went to see it, they already took it off, or whoever took it off. So we had to rent it for you. And I won't lie. At the time, I was just kind of like, "Oh God, I really hope this is worth the
$2.99, $3.99,
whatever I'm renting it for." But me and Tessa had a blast, and just like we had a blast interviewing you. So, and that's why we're back
I
here.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys.
That your movie can go to hell and stomp on it. But,
Well, I really appreciate you guys, taking the time to rent it on Amazon and everything else like that, and buy the DVD and support it all you have. And the same thing with DecayMag. I mean, all the support you guys have shown Unlisted Owner, and I mean, indie filmmakers. I mean, we're right down there with you podcasters. We're out there grinding every day, trying to get one person, just every day, if we can get one person to look at us and just look at our content or listen to our content, we feel like we made a difference. And I mean, we're all on the same level, and we just got to support each other to kind of help us get through to the next level and just kind of see where it takes us.
Absolutely, totally agree with you. For Child's Play, I'm gonna toss in. We're actually gonna cover this topic in our upcoming podcast. And according to my sources, filming will begin in September, and they're going to follow the template from Stranger Things. That is a bunch of kids that happen to stumble upon a doll that is technically advanced. So we're talking about a computerized Chucky, but check this out. Check this out. Chucky may not be called Chucky. He may have a different name. And because Universal has the rights to Child's Play, MGM is going to film, start post-production and production under a different name until the movie's about to release, and then they'll call it whatever.
Oh, no. All right.
It sounds like disaster.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
I'm going to say, like, I'm going to put in my
you have
cents like Ken did for Halloween. This thing is going to suck.
Yeah. Oh, Halloween. I don't even know. I like that meme I saw when it said a rare photo of John Carpenter trying to explain how Halloween 40 years later fits into the timeline. I loved it.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. For Halloween, I don't know what exercise regimen Michael Myers had while he was incarcerated, but I would like to know because that guy's buff.
Yeah, my wife would appreciate that, I think.
He's one of those wrestlers, I'm telling you.
See, this is what happened. After he got his eye stabbed, he spent the next 40 years getting that buff on him. How? Drinking all that orange juice or vitamin C, Sunny D stuff, I guess. I don't know.
I have
no idea.
So I thought Michael Myers don't eat or drink. I thought he's just locked up and chained down.
Goes around killing babysitters and people fornicating.
Well, that was like the original title, I believe, of Halloween, was like the babysitter killer or something. Yeah. So that's interesting. But yeah, anyway, so next topic is upcoming movie that's going to be released in August of this year, and it's called Summer of 84. There is a trailer, actually like 3 trailers for this thing right now that you can check it out on YouTube and comingsoon.net. And I guess I'm going to say is this name caught my attention a little bit, but really that poster did it for me. The movie poster really did it for me with the skull, with the popcorn and stuff, and then you just see it in the blood red, Summer of 84. And it's just like, what could possibly be this? So, Ken, we'll start with you this time. What are your thoughts for Summer of 84?
I'm all about innovation. I appreciate it when independent filmmakers create something different. Unfortunately, Summer of 84 is not innovative and nothing different. Alfred Hitchcock created something similar. DJ Caruso did something similar. Tom Holland did something similar. And what is the similarity? You have a nosy neighbor suspecting that his neighbor is a killer, and he goes to investigate, get his friends over to support his theory, and the story develops from there. With the case of Tom Holland, I believe that was Fright Night, and Shia LaBeouf starred in Suburbia. DJ Caruso directed that one. So Summer of 84 is not providing nothing for me. It doesn't, it's not even the retro feel. I've just seen Stranger Things season 2. There was another independent film that we had reviewed. It was an anthology. I felt there was no originality here. Kudos for good filmmaking, good cinematography, but aside from script writing, they need to go back to the drawing board.
I actually like kind of what Ken said is the comparison, especially with the Alfred Hitchcock, because I'm a huge Rear Window fan. And, you know, I noticed that kind of correlation. And, you know, and also in the Shia LaBeouf movie, I can't even think of the name of it now, but, you know, he suspects his neighbor is a murderer as well. And it kind of does fall into that narrative. And it almost looks like it's kind of a reoccurring narrative with filmmakers. Like they see that, whenever Stranger Things came out and whenever, the new It came out, I mean, a lot of these things are taking place in the same time period of the 80s. And it's just kind of, I don't know, to me it's kind of ironic that, we got another film or, a project that kind of falls into that category. I think it's kind of an interesting concept, especially with the police officer being the main suspect of it and it being, kind of like a group of kids and stuff. But I don't know. I mean, it looks interesting. I'll probably check it out, but I'm not going to have my hopes real high for it. But and the cinematography did look excellent from the trailer that I saw.
I think it actually looks good. Actually, looks entertaining for one. It's kind of got like a kind of Goonies feel to it a little bit. If anybody gets what I'm getting at.
Yeah, for sure.
And kind of has also kind of like a Monster Squad feel, but in a serial killer sense. Pardon my references, but it's what I'm gathering from it.
I think it has a lot of reference to the Stranger Things of how these 5 kids are, their own squad, and no one adult-wise knows exactly what's going on in the neighborhood besides them, and they're just nosy kids, like thinking that they know it all, and they try to get the parents involved, and the parents are not the type to understand from what I got.
Well, it is interesting that they're trying to save people, I guess, with the comedy that's going on mixed with everything else. Like everybody kind of said, I don't need to repeat it, but yeah, my hope for this is like not that high, but it does look entertaining, as Tessa said. So it has my attention. I just, like I usually say with anything really, as long as it does good and gets me impressed, then awesome. If not, then it's going to be one of those, why the fuck did I put this on here again?
Well, I think the trailer looks fun, so I will watch it because of that, and I agree with the poster art as well. But I'm piggybacking off of all of you. I say it looks like so many movies that we've already seen, and Jed, I believe the movie you were talking about with Shia LaBeouf is called Serbia. Yeah, it looks like right. That. It looks like, yes, it looks like Goonies. It looks like Stranger Things. It looks like pretty much all of those movies. It looks like the 80s, that's coming back. And I guess I like that because I'm a big 80s fan. That's where, like, most of my favorite horror movies are from the 80s. So I like that. It looks like it's paying homage to the 80s. I guess I like that whole aspect. But as far as the concept goes, it's very familiar. So there's definitely not really much innovation going on here.
Very well said.
I like it, yeah. So final verdict, I believe that everybody has said, is that it seems like it's something that we've already seen, but maybe we might see it, maybe not, depending on who it is that said it and stuff. I mean, it does look like it had this moment, but then at the same time, maybe they can pull it off with, like Jed said, the
cinematography.
Yes, thank you. Looks good, which it does, and the idea of it seems nice. I guess like it's Stranger Things mixed with probably, like Tessa said, Monster Squad, and like what Jed said, and what reminds him of that thing that he was saying and stuff. Alfred Hitchcock, and Alfred Hitchcock is a really interesting person. I mean, look at his like Psycho and a bunch of other films of his, which at the moment I'm drawing a brain fart on Alfred Hitchcock because every time I hear his name, I always just remember Psycho. And that's okay too.
The Birds.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Birds.
But yeah, this movie it really does remind me of just like a complete movie mashup. Like they kind of like, well, if we want to make a successful movie, we could set it in the 80s because that's hot right now. Disturbia was a pretty hot film. We can add that aspect into it too, and then give him a crew kind of like Monster Squad or Goonies, and we'll just try to make like an ultimate mashup movie. And that's kind of like the vibe that I feel, especially after hearing everyone talk and kind of getting the vibe. It almost sounds like they just want to try to make almost like an ultimate movie in a way, and just kind of nitpick different little ideas from different films and just kind of like create their own thing around it, which look at the trailer, I mean, there's a possibility it could be good, but also it could be just like I said, just a mashup of everything.
Yeah, and it could just be a cash grab too as well, and that's why they were trying to combine so many elements, is to suck in those type of people that like that certain environment element, just to that cash grab. And I guess when it comes out in August 10th, I believe I saw anyway. We'll have to judge it for ourselves. Anybody else have any final thoughts on Summer of '84?
With the cinematography, I'm curious to know how they created the film. If they're using updated cameras like the Cinema Red and using Adobe After Effects to put the color overlays, it's not going to have that same feel. So I'll be interested to know how they kept the retro feel by using older model cameras or even a lower quality camera to really encapsulate the 80s feel.
Yeah. Well, it's technology. There's always ways around anything nowadays, and adding just that one little tint of color can just freshen up a scene or something, or maybe make it too dark or too whatever. So, yeah, it does make me wonder what type of film camcorder that they use. I mean, for all I know, maybe they just did it on a phone, and then they just upped the quality of the editing. For all we know, who knows? Which brings, speaking of camcorders, that brings us to the next topic, which I think I know the perfect person to start this one off. So,
oh man,
Jed. What are your thoughts? Like, you could say, let's say like Blair Witch Project A to, I don't know, name something, and I'll just agree with you when it comes to found footage nowadays. What are your thoughts on found footage nowadays?
Well, I think they're trying to reinvent the wheel, which I think is kind of it's neat to me. I mean, found footage. A lot of people believe that it started with Cannibal Holocaust, and it's a classic film, and it was classic. It was traditionally shot intermixed with found footage, and then you didn't really hear much about it until Blair Witch, and then you had the big explosion where you had all kinds of different found footage films coming out. And nothing really kind of popped out until Paranormal Activity. And then since then, there's been others, Grave Encounters, Unlisted Owner, and, there's been all these other ones. But, and then Blumhouse, they kind of tried to reinvent the wheel again with the whole dark web and, Unfriended and all this stuff, and I mean, it's really neat. And it really kind of makes you wonder, as technology evolves, like where else found footage will go, especially with, all the new technological advances that we have. So I find it kind of interesting to kind of see where it goes. And I know a lot of people out there don't like found footage. They don't like the shaky camera. They don't like the realism of it. They want to go, more into the traditional route. But found footage definitely has a place in the horror genre, even if it is the, on the lower end of people's, radar. But to me, it still does have a very big relevance in today's world, especially with the evolving technology. And that's kind of what my thoughts are on it.
Well, I like your thoughts. I mean, you got some good points. So the only thing that kind of makes me question it every time is when I hear Unfriended. Do I really want to call Unfriended a found footage movie when all it is just a webcam on a computer? I mean,
well, if you look at the technical definition of found footage, it's supposed to be footage that is found. So if someone happened to find it, even if it was on a computer, I mean, it's no different than, to me anyways, it's no different than an SD card on a camera or a reel of film in a camera. I mean, it still, was recorded using a device. So to me, I think it does, but that's like my own opinion on it. That's why I think it still kind of falls into the found footage genre, because it technically is footage that has been found. I mean, that's how they present it anyways.
Right, and I think, actually, I know we did talk about Unfriended a little bit on DecayMag when Tessa and I were with them, and we were kind of saying, so Jed, let me ask you real quick. What do you think, and I'm going to take it from Ken, because I think I like that question a lot too, is, or something like that, or maybe it's something that we all said, but Jed, nowadays when it comes to found footage and stuff, or even the dark web now, do you feel the dark web is going to probably become the new boogeyman?
I'm not exactly sure if it will or not. I mean, like I said, the original, Unfriended on a computer was, an interesting concept to me, and now we're kind of getting into a sequel and stuff. So I don't know. I don't think it'll have the same effect as the first one did, of like, oh, this is interesting. It's a found footage film, and it's all recorded via video chat through a computer. And, that's what kind of intrigued me with it when I saw the first one. So the second one, I don't think it'll have that same, pull as the first one did, because it's not like, it's not as innovative as the first one was.
Well, to be honest, and Ken and Stacy and everybody know my opinion anyway of the first one, which is nothing, because I didn't see it. Because why? It doesn't look too good to me, to be honest. But then again, maybe I'm just becoming too picky in my somewhat old age.
Well, Stacy and I, we always discuss found footage film. This is a recurring topic on our podcast, and particularly in my opinion, I don't like the franchise. I prefer a proper, well-structured delivery of a visual narrative. With that said, a character development, a story development. Remember, when you're writing a script, the characters have to evolve from Act 1 to Act 3. Most found footage films do not follow this principle, and you have to wait until the last 20 minutes of the film in order to get the creature or the whatever it is that the protagonists are looking for. It just pops out of nowhere. That's not to say that there are some gems in this genre. Of course, Unlisted Owner, for example, whenever a found footage film comes into my inbox, I'm like, oh, here we go again. But in the case of Unlisted Owner, I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. And once you get a grasp on the filmmaker, what they did, how they created their project, how they got their cast, how they wrote this story, then you have some insights. Okay, now everything comes together as a well-tuned product. But in the case of Blumhouse, with the film, for example, Mockingbird, what the fuck is that? It's garbage. It just doesn't make sense. So I would say there, out of the film genre, 10% are worthwhile, but then you have the 80% that you got to sort through that is just going to get your mind numb.
I'm glad I'm part of the 10%.
Oh, man.
But since he said Mockingbird, wasn't Mockingbird originally a reading book that was supposed to be the remake of the actual reading book?
You mean, I'm trying to think if I'm following you, right? You mean like the How to Kill the Mockingbird?
Yes.
Yeah, that is a good question.
Mockingbird was released in 2014. Blumhouse released it, directed by Brian Bertino.
I'm just thinking of the original story, reading book that was available in high school when The Killing of the Mockingbird. There was an actual book, which I don't know. I thought
maybe that thing book got turned into a screenplay, kind of like probably everybody knows the book by now, but the Giver The Giver. Everybody should know maybe that book, and that finally got turned into a movie. What, like 5-10 years, maybe somewhere in between there ago. So I mean, I think it's just a matter of time. I mean, we ain't gonna bring up the horrific disaster of Where the Wild Things Are. I mean, we're not even gonna talk about that, but it's possible to happen.
Well, I'm not a big. Yeah, there have been a few films that I have liked, and so actually, I feel like with found footage, there's so much that really can be done. Because actually, thank you, Jed, for the technical description of it as footage that is found. Like, that makes me look at it in a whole different way. Because at first I was looking at it as like, okay, you take your camera or your cell phone and you film somebody just running away, running from whatever they're running from. So I was looking at it as more like that. And so now that you've given the technical definition for it, I'm looking at it a whole different standpoint. And take Unlisted Owner, for instance. Like, I watched that film, and actually I was so confused at first. I'm like, wait a minute, I had to ask Ken, I'm like, is this based on Tree Viz? And he had to tell me that it was and I thought that was so cool, because the way it was filmed, I literally thought it was based on like Tree Viz and stuff. I went and did research. So,
that's awesome. I'm honored.
So yeah, but yeah, there is so much that you can do with found footage actually, and it really it's probably just limitless. It just hasn't been that many great ideas in the found footage arena.
Very few.
A couple of years ago, almost 4 years ago, this come in October 27th, it will be the 4-year anniversary of the short horror film that I actually starred in as one of the cameramans in the last story that that the guy had, I should say. And that's an interesting story. I run a page on Facebook called Haunted Vermont, because I'm from Vermont and I like the paranormal stuff. And what better way to try to get people around my area, or if not anywhere, together on a page and share their stories of Vermont hauntings that they've experienced or whatever. So what the indie film director did for this film called Dead Static, which you can watch the full short film on YouTube, and I will provide the link in the description below of this episode so you guys can watch it. But
highly recommend.
It features 3 actual haunted places here in Vermont. And the stories are based on fact and fiction a little bit. The fact would be, like example, with the first tale, it's called Emily's Bridge. That is actually the real name of the place. It's called Emily's Bridge. If you actually go there about this time of day right now, you are bound to possibly see a ghostly figure by the bridge. You can, for some reason, the spirit does not like men. So me, Ken, and Jed here are in for a world of hurt because she likes to give us scratches. And
you want to go, Ken?
Yeah, it sounds like a typical evening here at DecayMag bedroom.
Yeah. So it plays off of real things. Like if you shut off your car on the bridge, you're supposed to not be able to start it up. Or if you leave it off for a while, you're supposed to have the fog take over your car, and you're supposed to see somebody walking around your figure. And then if you are on the bridge with your car, you're bound to get a scratch mark on your car. And there's just so many other things too, which there is a site, there is a guy that did a site, and 4 images of mine from back when I used to do the investigations are actually on the guy's site that I submitted to him, which you can go to emilysbridge.com or just go on Google and just type in Emily's Bridge, and then it should be like one or the first, or if not the second link will come up. Anyway, the second story involves a cemetery here, which is like known for like a ground and stuff like that. It is also famous for our infamous story of the Black Agus, which I'm just gonna stop there and just say, not ever sit on her lap. And if you do, you better hope that you're still alive in about a week, because it is known that if you sit on her lap, you will die. And that's the urban legend of that statue. And finally, the last one.
She's no Santa Claus.
And then the last story that we have, the one that I'm in, features a haunted house, an actual haunted house attraction, where a nurse that was treating kids for a disease passed away because she got the disease herself, and she supposedly haunts the old building, even though people have claimed to see her. A friend of mine actually told me, who runs the haunted attraction, that one of the guests came out and was like, "Hey, you guys did a really good job with that nurse on top of the stairs on the second floor." And the guy will be like, "We don't have a nurse." So if you could only imagine the facial expression you get after that, then there you go. The only thing that is fiction about the films is, of course, nobody has died. Really, from the story that is provided here. But
spoiler.
Yeah. Spoiler is right, but that just wanted that we stay that. No, nobody has died. But at least you get a nice, cool interaction-based haunted Vermont thing. But as for my found footage moment, it would have to be, it has to be done right. And I know now, as it was coming back then, like with Cloverfield and stuff, and Rec is a good example. The Spanish original film, not that piece of shit fucking US version called Quarantine, which is pretty much just the same thing as Rec, but just done darker, and they just, US just slapped a label on saying Quarantine. But then, then they make that other piece of shit sequel called Quarantine Terminal, or whatever the hell it was called, which is just plain dumb. Don't even watch it. Dumb. But then I won't lie. We watched the new Blair Witch, kind of going in skeptical about that. We didn't mind it, but there was some parts of it where we just felt it was very repetitive, I think it was.
Yeah, repetitive.
So that would, like, really, I guess found footage to me is like, it's cool. You definitely have a lot of freedom. I mean, when I was acting in the one that I did, I mean, I had so much freedom to really do whatever. And it was just more like, okay, well, how can I make this work to help them out too, meaning the filmmaker that I was with. So, but yeah, check it out. Dead Static on YouTube.
My thoughts on found footage, like, if I think, like, a couple of examples, like the Blair Witch movie, I liked how that one was done.
Like the short films, like, has like found footage mostly, like the ones that we've been watching for Kurt TV.
Yeah, some of those are like found footage. Well, I like Jed's film with the found footage, and I don't care how many people out there are, being jerks about it. Like Paul showed me the other day, somebody poking fun about it, which was stupid.
Yeah, we won't talk about that.
But we won't talk about that. But I liked Unlisted Owner. I like the found footage for that. I like the Blair Witch movie for found footage for that. I mean, there's certain found footage movies that are really good, and then there's some found footage movies that are just not very good at all. But my thoughts on it are, if they're done well, then that's great. But
how much of it is found footage if it could be a repeat from an older movie? Like, is it still considered found footage?
Like, what do you, like, elaborate more of what you mean?
Like, for example, that movie that you were talking about, like Unfriended. Like, is it the same thing as friend requests? Like, the whole Facebook thing? Like,
the dark web one is supposed to be, like, found footage too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah, it's that whole thing again where somebody finds somebody else's laptop and they notice that they were on some mysterious dark web thing, and that's when all hell fucking starts, I guess.
Which you pretty much should not be messing around with the dark web anyways.
Yeah. And that's kind of the one reason why I was saying dark web, the new boogeyman, because games seem to be having a fun time creating games now for the dark web. And now it seems like maybe after Unfriended, how many films are going to maybe make something for the dark web kind of thing. So it's going to be interesting, I guess. So somebody actually did that. Actually, same guy that I helped film that movie with, he made, I want to say, some type of weird dark web short film. I don't know if it's still around, but this time it involved like a monster, which was kind of cool. But I'm not gonna go too much into what's going on, but it just like involved like a monster within the dark web. So yeah, we're just interested. But to get back to your question though, Sheila, I've never seen friend request anyway. Again, it looks stupid to me, just like Unfriended does. So maybe what happened was this friend request got accepted, right? And then maybe became unfriended because of the
well, they said like the whole friend request movie line was a Facebook request, but when you friend requested that person, somehow that person ended up dead, and this friend request kept going around. So I don't know how, the whole and
well, I haven't seen the movie, so if I had to guess, this friend request thing that was going around must have been like a hacker to figure out where you lived just to go kill you or something. That would be my 2 cents, and I've never even seen the movie.
Well, I've seen a lot of trailers for it, and I'm like, it looks like the stupidest horror movie ever. What should I say?
I would like to add one thing, though, for found footage real quick. whenever you do found footage, it really is kind of a double-edged sword in a way, from an acting standpoint, because you want to make, for found footage, you want to make it seem as real as possible, because if it seems scripted, you lose your audience saying, oh man, this is fake, so you want to make it as real as possible, but at the same time, like for instance with Unlisted Owner, I had people calling, me out for being friends with Gavin and Tyler because they were such douches to me, and it's like, that's not how they are at all. They were playing a character, but they played it so well that people actually think that's how they act in real life, and it's not the case at all. And it's kind of a double-edged sword, because you want it to seem so real and flow so well that sometimes people lose themselves in the film and actually believe that what they're watching is real. So it's kind of like, sometimes it's hit or miss.
And for Jeb, one thing with the found footage, what I find perplexing as a viewer is this footage is supposedly found, and most of the time is by law enforcement, and it just perplexes me that these cops or whoever found the footage are great film editors, because they put the footage together so well into one film. Found footage, a good one, let's say Rec, for example, is a prime example of, okay, you're watching from the camera's point of view. The film is unedited. It has its transitions in a way that is so smooth that you don't know it's spliced together. And I think that's one flaw when it comes to this genre is the filmmaker wants to make the footage found, but at the same time he's editing it as a film. Right.
And with Unlisted Owner, that's one thing that I did that I haven't seen in a found footage film besides my own, and that's when we put the evidence placards in there to kind of make those, smooth transitions where it goes from one thing to the next, a little bit more rough, by putting those in there to say, okay, yeah, you are watching police footage. This is something that they would put as, this is evidence. This is camera A, this is camera B, this is camera C, so you also know what camera is what. And that's kind of like what we tried to do for Unlisted Owner, to kind of make it seem like, all this guy did was basically, he took the footage, he figured out what was corrupt, he threw it out, whatever he could salvage, he stuck it in there, did it, chronologically in order, and then put the placards in there and told what days and what dates and stuff. So yeah, I agree with you. I mean, there is a lot of films out there where it's like, well, this is supposed to be found footage, but this thing looks, fantastic and stuff. And that was part of the reason with Unlisted Owner, I put those evidence placards in there that, kind of broke it up to make it seem like, yeah, this is what something a police department would do for evidence for a crime.
I found that aspect of your film to be clever. I say, okay, this makes sense.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, and you kind of got some bashing on that, didn't you?
Yeah, yes, I did. I've had several people say that, it took them out of the film, or it would add, them like, come on, I want to know what happens next to it, which, that's part of the film, whenever someone's walking down a hallway really, really slow, you're like, come on, just get to that door, open that door, and we'll see what's behind it. I just did it in a different way when I put those placards in there at different times, not only to show, what camera was what, or different changes in times, but also kind of like add a little bit more suspense to it, because with a found footage film, you don't have a musical score to help you out for suspenseful scenes. I mean, most horror films that people think are, fantastic and they give you scares is because of the music. And I mean, if you put it on mute and just have it playing on your TV, it's just like, okay, someone's walking down the hallway really slow. Okay, they open a door, With a found footage film, you don't have that luxury of having, music kind of set the stage for what's going to happen next. So you have to kind of get creative and to try to get those scares a little bit, or add that suspense to it a little bit more by putting those, maybe trying to break it up a little bit, or, have heavy breathing or walk slower. You just kind of have to try to put these little things in there to kind of add that suspense to it, so that if you shot a traditional film, you'd have with a musical score, no problem.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that's maybe one reason why I like found footage a lot more too, is just because without the music, like you said, it just makes it more real versus, okay, here comes that creepy music. Just wait for it. It's about to get, it's about to get to that point. It's gonna it's like, okay, here it comes, and then the music stops, and you just already know what's gonna come, and it's just like, okay, you already prepared me up for it. So just get it over with. So, yeah, I do agree that
for independent filmmakers that want to start out with found footage, my advice, they should do their research on the video game industry. Most horror games are first-person survival horror, and just to build the camera work, there's a lot of references that can be used and translate that over to film. Case in point, Hardcore Henry, whoever hasn't seen it, they took a page out of Call of Duty, and look, it's fantastic. That really revolutionized found footage film for me. It gave me a lot of vertigo, just like the game, but it was done very well. And that's a good source material, video games.
Yes, it is. And actually, that's what I majored in, was digital entertainment game design. So that kind of helped me with that, because, I mean, all my other scripts in the past were all traditionally shot. So, when you go into a found footage script, you have to look at it this way. If you have especially effects-driven scenes, like we had an Unlisted Owner, I mean, we had to build a set. It's not like a traditionally shot movie where, okay, you're setting the scene, you're in a hallway, okay, now you're in another room that may not even be in the same area where you're shooting at before. With a found footage film, unless you want to do these hard edits and make it all choppy, you have to make a smooth transition, and you also have to have in mind the point of view of where exactly you're going to be holding your camera to be able to get this special effects scene in there. And then you also have to remember, I have to blend this thing to make it look like one smooth transition and make it seem like, yeah, we're still in the house, I just moved the camera really, really fast to focus in on whatever. So you have to also keep that in mind. And it is a challenge as a filmmaker. I mean, you don't have those luxuries of, if you're going to do an effects-driven shot, you can set up all these different camera angles and everything else, and it'll look, fine in the edit no matter what. Whereas when you're doing a found footage film, you only have, one shot with your actors to be able to get this transition in, and then whenever you do your effects-driven scene later, you're just like, oh God, please let it blend fine. I don't want anybody to see the edits in there at all. So, it is a very strenuous and tedious task for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard me, but when Ken was talking about video games and you saying game designing and stuff, I said take a book out of like Outlast, like that.
Yeah, very great game.
Yeah.
That is a found footage video game, kind of.
Yes, it is. Even though the second one could have been better, but yeah, that's all I'm going to say.
I'd just like to say one thing. I appreciate everybody on this podcast and, DecayMag, everybody's support of Unlisted Owner. It wouldn't be where it's at today without any of your guys' support, and I greatly appreciate it. And thanks to everyone out there listening. If you haven't checked out Unlisted Owner, go check it out and let me know what you think of it, and I appreciate everyone's support.
Real quick, Jed, where can people find your Unlisted Owner?
If you're in the U.S., it's available on DVD through Amazon, DVD through Barnes & Noble, and also through FYE. And then if you're streaming, you can stream it on Amazon. It's also available on Amazon Prime. I'll get my 15 cents. You can stream it on Google Play Store, YouTube, iTunes, and then my personal favorite, the Xbox. You can get it on your Microsoft Store. And then if you are outside the States, I know it's available for streaming in the UK on Amazon as well. So, yeah, just let us know what you think of it. IMDb, rate it.
Nice. Very awesome. I still don't think it's on PlayStation yet, but that's all right. One day. One day
we hope.
Film. All right. So the next one we're going into is the upcoming video game, which I personally can't wait for it. I just hope that they do justice with it. Is Call of Chthulu. which is known by the infamous H.P. Lovecraft. Tessa, what do you think of the upcoming game Call of Chthulu?
It looks so good. Like, I'm so excited for it. Like, the graphics look amazing. I love the trailer. It just looks so good. It's literally like something out of H.P. Lovecraft. It just like
Come
out
to
of
life.
a book. Yeah, come to life. It just looks so amazing. I like watched the trailer with Paul and I'm like, oh my god, this game looks so good.
And now it just needs to come out.
Yep.
Sheila, did you get a chance to see that trailer? Okay, well,
Oh my
what
God.
are you familiar with H.P. Lovecraft at all or anything? Oh my god.
Oh my god.
What?
We need to fix
Okay,
this.
before we terminate Sheila here, with points here, Stacy, what do you think of Call of Chthulu?
I know next to nothing about Cthulhu. But the trailer for the game looks really, really dark, and it's something that I definitely want to play.
The name always tricks my tongue here. Call of Cthulhu. Cthulhu. Okay. Well, it's based on the Cassium tabletop role-playing game, for those who did not know. And also, this game was originally announced back in January 2014. At the time, Frogware, who also developed the Sherlock Holmes video games, they were behind it. But all of a sudden, it went dark. 2 years later, we have an official Steam page, which was uploaded, I believe it was recently. Anyway, but I'm glad, fall 2018. Okay, that's the release date. I'm looking forward to this. It reminds me of how a survival horror role-playing game should be. I enjoy the graphics. I'm really in tune with the storyline, but it reminds me of The Evil Within, in which the protagonist is lost in this weird world and he has to solve puzzles to get out. If you like The Evil Within, you like this one. Yeah, so it's a toss-up on that, in that aspect, but I love the graphics. And I want to see how far they stretch the horror. If it's really suspenseful, or is it that type of horror that you scream like a little girl when you have the Turtle Beach's headphones on your ears in a dark room? So looking forward to this.
So what you're saying is like Outlast. Like every time Chris Walker comes into the room,
Rattling
he says
his
"little
chains."
pig" and stuff. Which I'll throw a fact out there again, just in case anybody new listening doesn't know about this. But in case you guys have played Outlast and never heard of it, the original idea of Chris Walker for Outlast was once he grabbed you in the game, he would in fact was going to rape you. I don't know how many people actually knew that, but that was the original idea concept from Red Barrel.
Very scary. And
They got rid of it because
too graphic.
It was too graphic, and two, who the fuck would actually continue a game like that after getting raped? So they decided to just instead rip out your chest and whatever. So
punch your heart out.
Yeah, or just
yank it
whatever.
out.
Really, just stop your face in.
I guess the rape theme was popular because in Fear 2 or Fear 3, the protagonist gets raped by his sister. So
yeah. I want to say that was 2.
I believe so. Yeah. But wow, getting raped by your sister and she has your kid. That's twisted family values right there.
Yeah. I want to say that was Fear 2 because I think that's the spoiler, or as I'm going to say, That's all I'm gonna say. But I think everybody should know Fear 2 by now, how that ends, because it's very dark and twisted anyway. But that ending of Fear 2 is just like, wait, what? And then they stop it. But, yeah. Jed, what are your thoughts on Call of Chthulu?
Well, I'm just gonna go back to Outlast real quick. I mean, I didn't figure that having your chest ripped out and your heart beat to death would be a better way of, you know, encountering that guy. So, with that being said, the game though it looks amazing. It almost reminds me of the first time I saw BioShock. And I really got like a BioShock type feel to this game. I remember the first time I ever saw the trailer for BioShock, and I knew nothing about it, and it was coming out the following week, and some of my friends in my game design class were like, check this game out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta get this. And I mean, I got that same kind of feel of like how beautiful the graphics are and how, you know, realistic it feels. I mean, I haven't been this excited to play a game since, well, a horror game since I played the first Outlast, and then also whenever I played the game The Park. And this one, I mean, just I'm so excited. I mean, whenever you sent me the link and stuff, I had read some stuff about it, but I hadn't actually watched the trailer, and I was just like, wow, this looks very, very cool. I mean, did anyone else get a BioShock feel to it? Because I definitely did when I saw it.
BioShock Call of Chthulu?
Yeah, a little bit, yes. Coming from somebody who's played the BioShock ones. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're a big BioShock gamer, yeah.
Oh yeah, I've played them.
BioShock.
I've played them all. 1 and 2 are definitely my favorite out of the 3.
Yeah, the first one was my all-time favorite, and then when I found out they were going to make a movie about it, I was just like, oh my gosh, please let it be true. And then they just kept tossing it around, and it never went anywhere. But I was like, oh, if they could just make it into a movie, I'd be so excited.
Yeah, that went dark really quick. I think they did like a teaser trailer for that, and then it just went poof. So that kind of sucks. Good news is, though, Jed, the guy that we interviewed for, you may have heard of the fan-made film for Silent Hill Requiem, Zenith Films. It's a guy by the name Garrus Morgan. He's actually planning a BioShock film.
Oh boy, I'm getting excited now.
So yeah, definitely check Zenith Films out for that. And because he mentioned that during our interview, and Tessa's face is just like, yes. But yeah, no, it definitely looks great, and I'm pretty sure everybody here got a chance to talk. I hope. I'm trying to remember now, but yeah, I definitely can't wait. And Ken, you were cutting out a little bit, but what did you say the release date was that you saw?
The comparison?
I think you were mentioning something about a release date for Call of Chthulu or something on the Steam page or something.
Oh yeah, the release date is set for fall 2018.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, that's what it states on the Steam, because it's already on Steam. They have their page, they have pictures, they have recent update was July 2nd, which is the E3 2018 trailer.
All right, nice. Yeah, I just watched that trailer too, the E3 one. That was really good too. With the cult behind the guy and stuff, it just looks nice. I definitely can't wait, and you guys should too if you like HP Lovecraft. Except for one person that doesn't know HP Lovecraft in this room right now. So yeah, all right. So
is survival horror changing now, or because for those who may not know, Resident Evil they were going downhill with the action elements and just like Dead Space. So are we seeing a good resurgence of survival horror now?
I really hope so, Ken. I really do.
Fingers are crossed.
Fingers are definitely crossed. And there's another game that I actually backed on Kickstarter that I can't wait because it looks promising, and that is called The Beast The Beast Inside, I believe. It is on Steam, Ken, so you can search it right now, and just check out that. I got a chance to, when I backed it, I got a chance to have a hands-on demo, and let me tell you what, that environment alone is just phenomenal. I mean, the idea of the puzzles for that game is interesting as well. They use a certain device to unlock a puzzle which spelled out faith in the demo. I forget the name of the device that you had to use, but I never got used to the damn thing anyway, and I tried learning it a long time ago. I just never could understand it, but you'll see what I mean. And I'm pretty sure it's in the trailer. If not, just look up gameplay video and you'll be all set. But yeah, The Beast Inside looks promising, and that's another one I can't wait for. So right now, real quick, we're trying to get through this as fast as we possibly can, too. But it is DecayMag's turn to be interviewed. So
that means it's kids' turn to be interviewed.
You guys ready?
Was the ladies first?
Actually, wait, this time Stacy is safe.
Yay!
Without further ado, the first question is for Ken. So Ken,
right.
What inspired you to create DecayMag?
Well, of course, the appreciation and the love for horror films, but mostly it was because when I first started DecayMag as an aggregator site on Flipboard, which Flipboard is an app that allows you to import feeds from other sources. And what inspired me was I would read the articles. I was like, well, wait a second. Did this author actually watch the film? I mean, my opinions are really so dramatically different. And I feel that in order to be a journalist, there needs to be a certain level of presenting facts, not just opinion. That's what separates blogger writing articles for detergent than a journalist. We are all journalists, and this is the content that we create. And spur of the moment, literally overnight, I told my wife, hey, I'm going to buy the domain, create the website. She said, go ahead, just as long as you don't go over budget. And here we are right now. Everything from the podcast to writing to Stacy tagging along with the process, learning experience and learning how to become better journalists, how to write for online. So it's all such a wonderful, wonderful experience.
That's awesome. Yeah, that, like we told you too, like, it started out just by listening to podcasts, and then I came home one day and I kind of did the same thing in a way. Like, I looked at Tessa and I said, hey, we should do a hobby, and the hobby should be maybe a podcast, because you and I both love the horror genre, and we'll see if we can do something with it. If not, then I wish we tried, we said. And then here we are a year and like 5 months later, almost 5 months. So it's a nice ride. And I mean, from what I've learned within the year and who I've interviewed, like Jed here himself, who happened to be a complete ass. No, I'm joking. Jed.
What?
In fighting words.
No, I mean, pretty much the idea of creating this podcast was to help Tessa and I be more social, because we were two people who just pretty much got home from work and just gave two shits about the world, really. And but then we started to think, like, you know what, we should at least try to meet new people, interact with people who love horror just as much as us, and doesn't feel like everything needs to be scripted and stuff and whatever. But yeah, I just think that it's, like Ken, you said it before. If you need to, in order for the monster to grow, is you need to feed it. In our case, we started out trying to do simple episodes of like whatever with our friends and stuff before we took on professional people like you, Ken.
No, thank you.
And who outschooled us when we were on your show, because I'm not gonna lie, our show is probably not even as great as yours, but we're still learning. It's just our way of doing things, and I know everybody else has their own way of doing things too, which is fine. And I guess that's just the way it's gonna be.
I'm gonna piggyback off that last comment, and it's most podcasters when they start out. I mean, there's apps out there. We have technology easily available and accessible to create a podcast. And for those who do not know, podcasting is the new shit now. Everything is quick. Alexa voice commands, Google Home. If you don't have it, buy it. Don't listen to the news and all this bullshit that they're saying that Alexa's taking over your world. No, this is the future. And as podcasters, you need to jump on this shit now, because in 5 years, you're going to surf the internet with voice commands. You're going to take a shit and listen to the news instead of reading the paper. So if you're not on this now, you're going to be left back. And another thing, most content creators, when they first start out, they create their website, they put tons of ads. Don't do that. That's one thing. When I started DecayMag, I said, wait a second, I don't want to see an advertising of a truck and this and that. No, I want to read your review. And if you're dedicated, just pull through and do it.
That's, for example, like YouTube, and the content creators create 20-minute videos. You don't want to see 3 ads in a matter of 5 seconds, because that's going to basically turn you away from actually watching whatever they created or the review for a game.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. And to touch on that, YouTube has some heavy competition. One thing that since the beginning of DecayMag, I'm always in tune with the news on social media, what's happening, what's hot, what's not. And YouTube fucked over the content creators. They're not giving them the monetary compensation that they deserve, especially when you're creating paranormal videos, UFO videos, or quote unquote conspiracy videos. That's why Facebook is creating Facebook Watch. 2 weeks ago, Instagram unveiled Instagram TV. The thing is changing fast. You have to jump on it.
Yep, because it's like you said, Ken, it's the hot new thing. It's like that new toy that you just got that you need to play with.
What toy? How did you know about that toy?
Well, you never know, Ken.
Stacy, how did you land with DecayMag?
I had made a post on, I believe it was Movie Pilot, and it was my very first post, and it was a film review. And Ken saw my post, and he started talking to me about DecayMag and asked me to become a guest writer on it. I've been with DecayMag. Actually, I haven't even posted on Movie Pilot again after that. So I've been with DecayMag ever since.
So good. That's kind of like
Me and you. For example, we met pretty much on Discord, not knowing each other from a hole in the wall, and becoming good friends. And now I do horror game reviews for their YouTube page.
That's right, you do. Just like I found another guy who did movie reviews on Instagram. I actually contacted him one day and I said, hey, I noticed you post a lot of movie reviews on Instagram. Do you happen to actually post it on any sites? And he's like, no. So I was just like, hey, how would you like to start using WordPress with us? And you can post as many reviews as you want. And that's how we got that guy. And who done really good stuff. So if you ever see an article come up on our website by the author Cannibal Kid, that's him. You can also find him on Instagram for Cannibal Kid Reviews. Definitely check him out because sometimes he posts reviews on his Instagram that is not on our site. So definitely check him out. He's been good to us, just like I'm going to be good to him. So good job, Dustin. I'm giving you a shout out, buddy. All right, Ken, back to you.
Yes.
So, Ken, did you ever think DecayMag would get this far when you first started?
When I first started, it was as you had mentioned, it was a hobby project. And once I tell you not, kid you not, as much as people when they start their platform, I've seen it recently on Twitter. Someone posted say, "Oh, how do I get more followers?" What? Don't worry about the followers. Worry about the content. And that's what I just started writing. And all of a sudden, PR reps got in contact with me. Movie distribution got in contact with me, and literally in less than 4 months, my inbox was exploding, and I just couldn't keep up with it. And it was like writing. I love it. I love horror. I've met so many film directors, film producers. It's fantastic to be able to present filmmaking and video games and everything else that is in the horror genre. So I'd never expected this to explode so fast. It's so quickly. And for those who are not ready for that, I suggest you lace up your boots or your panties or whatever you're wearing and start worrying about content and not worrying about the followers.
That's so true in so many ways, because that's the issue with a lot of YouTubers. Like, they worry so much about the followers and the content go downhill because of the, what do they call it? Sub content bull crap that they were going around.
Fall for fall, that type of shit. Yeah.
It's sad. And there's so many ways you could change your content. Our YouTube channel is like terrible. But it doesn't faze me because we write articles, we do a podcast, we're exploring different avenues to provide our content. Stacy and I, we do Instagram Live Tuesdays and Thursdays. So it's all about presenting your content different ways, having fun with it, and just go with it. Don't worry about anything else, especially followers. And don't be the idiot buying followers on Instagram so you can keep up your statistics. That's just bullshit.
Well, now they have follow bot, which these bots give you 10 times more followers when you're live streaming.
Or anything really now, yeah. Oh man.
I'm just with all these crap that like where do we go?
Well, it could be worse. Start having to pay for your post like Facebook. Hey-oh! Yeah. But no, that's a good point though. Definitely content is the number one focus rather than the numbers. Like you said, the numbers will show after. It's just the content. You're gonna want people to come back and read your content. So, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, that's what's.
yeah. I mean, it's just like YouTube. You want content so that people come back and watch your content. So, I mean, if you have one video, you're not going to get 2 million subscribers.
Exactly. And you post one show, you post one podcast. It's the same as in Jeb's case with his film. He created his film. It just takes that one person to reach out to and connect with in the audience, and they'll say, "Yo, this guy knows what he's doing. I love him. I'm gonna be waiting for his next film. I'm gonna be waiting for his next content to come out." So that's what you need to rely on: is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people in the audience that you connect with, and they'll multiply eventually to 15, 20, 25, 100. Patience is the key.
Stacy, what has been your favorite DecayMag episode?
Oh, are you talking about the podcast episode?
Yes.
That would have to think about it. Yeah. Wow.
Uh-oh.
Can you narrow it down to 3?
I know.
Putting her on the spot. She's like, oh man, I gotta think.
That's
yeah.
That's in the hot seat, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of, sort of, yeah.
Well, I definitely have to say, with Paul and Tessa, everything horror. That was a fun podcast. It was very insightful.
Well played.
So, I have to say, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully we don't run into, are we going to eat that?
I knew somebody was going to come up with that.
All right, Ken. So, you ready for this one?
Uh-oh. Here we go. Yeah, I'm ready.
What are your thoughts on the paranormal?
The paranormal, I am 60% interested, 40% skeptic. I believe there is an afterlife, but if you come to think of it and you group everything paranormal together, it almost seems comical in a way, because you have the poltergeist, you have the ghosts, you have aliens, you have werewolves. Do they have their own community going on? Do they all meet together, say, okay, we're going to go haunt this house over here? So in that aspect, I'm kind of a skeptic, but I'm also interested because we don't know what's in the afterlife. We don't know if you build a house on sacred ground, things could come out and haunt you. Take, for example, the Skinwalker Ranch. I mean, there's so many reports of weird shit. Not only werewolves, but you have aliens and you have ghosts, all concentrated on this piece of land. So it's interesting, and I envy you, Paul, because you've investigated the paranormal. That's something I would love to do, just to pacify the skepticism that I have on that area.
Well, I hope with the video that I posted today and the one previous will help your skepticism out just a little bit. So, if not, then I guess I failed. But I be honest, say the video previous to the one that I released today is by far one of my favorite moments ever. And I'll just let the video speak it rather than me saying it. So I just like it. I just think it's just really cool how that came to be, and just the way it worked out is just amazing. which I don't know if you've seen it, Ken. The Finding Ralph one. Did you ever see that?
The one that you had sent me on Twitter.
I believe so.
Okay.
Should have been called like Finding Ralph, I believe. I think that's the one I sent you.
Going back to my notes now. but in any event, yeah, my mother had an experience when she was a young woman and growing up in the countryside of Panama. Lots of paranormal activity. That up is when I went to visit Panama, I had a paranormal experience, but I did not open my eyes. I kind of wish I did when I was sleeping, and I felt something like forcing me to wake up, shoving my shoulder, and yeah, everybody was accounted for. There was nobody in the house at the time, but my wife, unfortunately, in her country of Puerto Rico, she opened her eyes, and to this day she does not want to even describe what she saw, but she said it was demonic because when she started reciting the Our Father in Spanish, the thing started screaming and disappeared. Hey, I want to see some poltergeist activity, and I'm so anxious for that to happen, or some type of demonic activity. I'm so just curious.
Well,
the skepticism needs to be cured.
Oh, absolutely.
Nice. Well, like I said, I hope in a way my videos will help in a way too.
Ken and Stacy, who would you love to interview if given the chance?
Stacy, take that one. I'll follow you. Ladies first.
I would have to say, I think I would love to interview probably Robert Englund, dressed up as Freddy Krueger.
Krueger's Freddy Krueger, yeah. The guy sounds cool. He's like an icon.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Well, you go to like these like horror conventions, and like I know someone who goes to horror conventions a lot, and they've met Robert Englund. They've met, just. I would love to be able to go to a horror convention and interview like Robert Englund and everything, but you got to be in character, So.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I know.
That would be interesting.
All right, Ken. Who would you like to interview or love to interview if given the chance?
That's an interesting one. Who would I like to interview? Wow. I would have to say, I would like to re-interview someone that I had previously already interviewed, and only because his philosophies on transhumanism and technology and AI, it's so phenomenal and so profound. And I'm referring to Ronan Harris, the lead singer for V&V Nation. I interviewed him once, and we had a great conversation about those topics. I delivered 0 questions about his music that spans over 25 years. So for me to sit down one-on-one again with him, that'll be great. For those who haven't heard of his music, it's more of a electro-industrial type of music, but he branches out into classical as well. And each song is just explores this revolution, mankind, and it's. I would love to do that again.
Awesome. Those are always good. Just like Jed. I'm pretty sure Jed does not ever want to come back to our show because of the way we harassed him so bad.
But
I'm on it right now.
But Jed, guess what?
What's that? I'm next.
We're gonna put you back on the hot seat, buddy.
Before he does interview him, does Jed have any question for
that he wants to ask Ken and Stacy?
Well, I think you guys pretty well summed up all the questions that I was going to ask him. I was always curious of, about paranormal stuff, like how he felt on that, and if he could interview anybody. If I could interview anybody, it'd been Lon Chaney. I would have asked if it had been living or dead. But I mean, maybe if I bring Paul with me to his grave, maybe I could interview him. But but no, you guys, DecayMag has been, very supportive of Unlisted Owner and my dream of being a filmmaker. And, Ken, Stacy, I'm indebted to you guys for all the help and publicity you've helped, get the word out about Unlisted Owner. And I appreciate you taking a look at the movie and, and let me know what your thoughts were on it and giving me a blurb I could, use in Screen Magazine even. So I appreciate that.